History is all around us. There are secrets of our past around every corner, hidden in our streets, buried under our feet. And in this series, I'm going to uncover those secrets by looking at Britain's most historic towns.
You're in my way! Get out of the way!
I want to find out which towns across the UK can reveal the most about each period in British history. Oh, that sent shivers down my spine. Yeah. That's amazing. I'll be deciphering clues in familiar landscapes, bringing lost landmarks back to life, and turning back the clock to reveal how these towns looked at key stages in their history. From the Plantagenets to the Edwardians, the Civil War to the Second World War, I'll reveal the story of an era through the story of a single town. Today, I'm in Britain's most Edwardian town, a place that grew rich selling the fuel that powered the British Empire. All this coal coming down from the Rhondda valleys.
Literally off onto the ships and out across the world.
Where a lucky few enjoyed the trappings of privilege.
When we began, we were almost equal.
Not anymore.
No.
No, no. And a place whose success drew workers from across the world, creating a uniquely diverse community.
Nobody planned for it to be a multicultural, beautiful, unique, wonderful community.
If you want to understand the Edwardians, Cardiff is the place to come. '21st century Cardiff has all the trappings you'd expect of a modern capital city. Sleek government buildings, a huge sports stadium, and an excellent university. I should know, I went there. But strip away the modern glass and steel and you uncover an extraordinary story of ambition, wealth, and back-breaking labour. That hard work propelled Cardiff from a small town dominated by a big castle to the world's most important exporter of energy in under a century. It's now home to 360,000 people, but it was only 170 years ago, during the Victorian age, that Cardiff rose to prominence. When Queen Victoria died in 1901, her son Edward took the throne. The 9 years that followed were the Edwardian era. Edward VII's Playboy style helped define a decade in which Britain was still the world's preeminent financial and naval power. All women, and most men, still couldn't vote, but neither could the sun set on an empire that still straddled the globe. And in Cardiff, supreme confidence and ambition transformed a town into an elegant city, eventually becoming the national capital we know today. The first industrial revolution of the late 1700s into the early 1800s was driven by an incredible expansion in mass-produced textiles and saw the transformation of many of Britain's towns into grand cities. The mills and factories of Manchester, Sheffield, Birmingham, Bradford and Leeds meant that these cities all grew rapidly, becoming big players in Britain's century of success. In 1850, Cardiff was still well behind the curve. Iron-rich Merthyr Tydfil, 25 miles to the north, was the industrial capital of Wales. But come the rail and steamship-driven second industrial revolution of the mid-1800s, Cardiff would surpass it in status and power. And that was thanks to the valuable mineral that lay beneath the valleys just to the north. I've only driven a dozen or so miles out of the bustling metropolis of Cardiff, and this feels entirely different. Up into the hills, beautiful hills, and then all these valley towns which are crowded with row upon row of terraces. It's clear that people were flocking here in their thousands. And of course, what it was that was drawing them here was coal, as it was known locally, black gold. Now a mining heritage park, this was once one of the many Rhondda collieries that produced best Welsh steam coal. Ernest Key-Frew is a geologist from Cardiff University. Ernest, I thought I'd find you here playing with fire.
Hello, I love fire.
So I really want to understand what was so special about the coal from the Rhondda Valley and the surroundings here. So can you explain that to me?
It's amazing to think that about 300 million years ago, Wales, as we know it today, was situated at the equator.
Yeah.
And there was a massive corridor of tropical forest. So you had very unique plants, club mosses, and these were giant plants. It was just really fresh and green.
So the trunks, the leaves, fall into this swamp.
Yes.
Turn into peat.
Yes.
And then what's the next stage after that?
When the plants die, they get buried in the peat, but they do not decay as quickly as you would expect in the presence of oxygen.
Yeah.
So it's buried and gradually compacted. Water squeezed out, lots of things removed, and it gets heated up as it gets deeper and deeper into the earth crust. And that's what forms this material.
So this is Welsh steam coal from here, from this colliery?
Yes, from Rhondda. What is unique about this material is that there's methane trapped in here, gases that would catch fire really quickly and burns with a lot of zest. It really burns powerfully. But just look at the glow. It's fragmented, it's not even. The glow is not smooth. And this is all due to the fact that you have all these different pockets of flammable material in here.
So it's carbon, which is
carbon.
combustible,
Yes.
but with a kind of inbuilt fire lighter.
Exactly.
So that's going to be perfect for the boilers of all of those steamships.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why Wales is so important, this place. Power the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
High-quality Rhondda coal kept ships' boilers running longer and hotter, so they could sail even greater distances. By the late 1800s, demand was soaring as the steamships of merchant and military navies crisscrossed the globe. Welsh mine owners were riding the wave of a black gold rush. The more they could mine, the more they could sell. And by the Edwardian age, the rush to exploit this mineral had transformed the Rhondda valleys. A once rural farming community had morphed into a hive of dirty, dangerous, and very profitable industry. In 1905, the valleys of the Rhondda were dotted with the pit wheels and smokestacks of collieries. All linked to Cardiff by rail, the mines were only a mile or two apart, each employing hundreds of men, women, and children. In Edwardian Britain, manual work was tough, with mining perhaps the toughest of all. Ex-miner Pete Griffiths is now a museum tour guide and knows a thing or two about colliery life 110 years ago. Peter.
Afternoon.
Hi. Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Can you tell me about working here in the colliery and who was working here and what was life like?
Conditions were terrible. I mean, mine owners were so ruthless. They would want the men to put the supports further away so they would use less timber and spend less money.
Yeah.
And then the roof would collapse down and there would be a lot of roof, all the men buried. And they didn't care about coal miners at all. All they cared about was profit. And they were working 12 hours a day, from 6 in the morning until 6 in the evening. They'd have to go home, and then they'd have to wash the children, prepare food, and go to bed and be in work by 6 o'clock the next morning. Monday to Saturday, 12 hours a day.
Oh, it's
They're
such a hard life, isn't
very
it?
hard work.
Yeah. And yet, this industry pulls people in. More and more people coming into the valley.
Because there was no work nowhere. If you didn't work, you didn't have no money and you couldn't eat.
Work in those Edwardian mines was back-breaking, dangerous. It was exploitative, but plentiful. The Rhondda Valley was just one of 3 in a row producing this incredibly valuable steam coal. And aerial archaeologist Ben Robinson has taken to the skies to see how this industry affected the whole landscape.
Oh, this is nice. This is cracking visibility, getting a good idea of the layout of the land. We've got these foothills and valleys. All these settlements are in the base of the valleys. And in amongst it all, I can see the telltale traces of the coal industry, the hive of activity in the Edwardian era. There we go. There's some slag heaps just now appearing under the wing. It's great mounds of spoil, the useless byproduct of coal extraction and production. And it's created new hills, new features in the landscape. I can just see the land's been reformed, resculpted. They've tried to make the best of it, put it back in some sort of order. But however hard people try to erase it, we can still see it. These will be around for centuries and centuries.
With the neighbouring Rumney Valley also producing steam coal, Cardiff had vast amounts of this valuable asset right on its doorstep. But it was little use if it couldn't be efficiently shipped abroad. I'm about to find out how just one family transformed Cardiff into one of the world's biggest ports. Setting the scene for one of Edwardian Britain's greatest economic booms. The Edwardian era spanned almost a decade, from the death of Queen Victoria in 1901 to 1910. Edward VII ruled over a quarter of the world's population, and money-spinning global trade was having a massive impact on Britain's cities. Nowhere more so than Edwardian Cardiff. Steamships were the workhorses of the merchant and the military navies, travelling vast distances across the globe. And the coal from the Rhondda valleys was in high demand to fuel those ships. But 80 years before the Edwardian era, ships wanting to sail into Cardiff Bay to collect the coal faced a huge natural obstacle: the massive tides of the Bristol Channel. Cardiff Bay guide Ben Salter can run tours all day as the lagoon is now kept flooded by the impressive new tidal barrier. But it was once very different.
Twice a day, everything you can see here was mud.
So what did that mean for shipping back then? I mean, presumably it meant that it was difficult to bring ships in this far.
Yeah, when the tide went right out, the boats weren't going anywhere. We're gonna head over to the wooden stays that you can see ahead of us here, known by sailors as dolphins, where they used to tie up ships at low tide. They could rest the ship against there to stop it from falling over.
And these are Edwardian?
Well, they're probably Victorian.
Yeah.
I think they're about 150 years old.
The construction of the docks that would be so crucial to the success of Edwardian Cardiff began in the 1830s, and it was all thanks to one man. The second Marquess of Bute owned much of the coal-rich land in the Rhondda. Bute realised the faster his coal could be exported, the more money he'd make, so he set about building Cardiff's coal docks. These new docks had locks at their entrances, meaning that they stayed full of water even at low tide, allowing ships to stay floating and to be loaded. Throughout the Victorian era, the appetite for Welsh steam coal kept rising. But as competition increased, Cardiff needed to up its game. By 1907, a new, state-of-the-art dock had been built. Cardiff's final dock was also by far its largest, and the opening of it was a grand event. And to commemorate it, the Western Mail produced this rather gorgeous magazine. So there's Edward VII and Queen Alexandra. And here's the new dock, looking very space age. And there's the date, July the 13th, 1907. So this is a section all about the history of the docks of Cardiff, including the institution of this new Queen Alexandra dock. I like this. Nothing exists on land or sea so preeminently practical as a modern dock. I've often said that. The romance of the potato trade. We'll come back to the romance of the potato trade perhaps in another episode. And this is quite graphically showing us the impact of that industry on the valleys of South Wales. Another interesting fact is that within 25 miles of Cardiff Castle resides half the population of Wales. So this industry, this coal production and coal exporting industry, had pulled in all of that population to the south. Oh, it's lovely to have all these photos. And then there's a sketch imagining what the Queen Alexandra dock is going to be like once it's in operation. And the opening of this dock must have been such a big event. I mean, it was, probably the event of the decade for the people of Cardiff. Arriving for the dock opening in style aboard their royal yacht, the 1907 visit was one of just 2 that the King and Queen ever made to Cardiff. To learn more about that day, I've come to the dock's entrance to meet local museum manager, Victoria Rogers. Victoria.
Hi.
Hi.
Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I want to talk to you about the day when it opened, when, the royals arrived on their yacht, and what would it have been like?
Well, they arrived on their yacht, and it was actually the yacht that cut the ribbon. Because,
was it?
Yeah, they had a ribbon strewn across. Yeah. And as the yacht sailed in, it was the yacht that cut the ribbon to open the dock.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, but there was sort of big stands of the great and the good of Cardiff's commercial and social world, sort of watching.
And what about souvenirs then? What have you got there?
Every school child was given a tin of chocolate and a bronze medallion as well to commemorate.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Yeah. It sort of gives the impression of just what an event this was. It was actually a public holiday in Cardiff.
Was it?
So people had the day off. We've got some memories and people's stories in our collection at the museum. And one of my favourites is this lady who's remembering, years later that day, and she describes herself and her friends as thinking that they were the cat's whiskers because they had a new white dress, a new Spanish cord white daps for the occasion, and they had red, white and blue ribbons, sashes and rosettes in their hair. I mean, it just goes to show just what a big event it was in this little girl's world.
There's been excitement around Cardiff Bay more recently, with the huge redevelopment that included building the Senedd, the home of the National Assembly for Wales. To make this possible, most of the original docks have been repurposed or filled in and built over. But we've still got Roath Docks, Roath Basin, and most importantly, the dock that was opened in 1907, Queen Alexandra Dock. This 52-acre facility was once amongst the biggest stone docks in the world and helped to increase Cardiff's coal exports to over 10 million tonnes a year. It completed what had by then become an enormous network of locks, basins, cranes and loading stands that together provided nearly 7 miles of quayside. A thick cobweb of rail tracks brought streams of coal trucks loaded with Welsh steam coal from the Rhondda and the Rhymney valleys to dozens of waiting ships. Once loaded, these ships would set sail for ports all over the globe. And once again, Cardiff found itself in just the right place to fully exploit this energy boom, as Ben can see from the sky.
This is a great place to see where Cardiff is situated. And I'm getting a sense of the natural shape of the bay here, this wide sheltered lagoon off the Bristol Channel. The Atlantic right out there, Turn right a bit, you're in Ireland. Go straight ahead, North America. Turn left, North Africa, onto India. Turn left and left again, you're up the Channel and into Northwest Europe. This really was an Edwardian trade superhighway. It's difficult to think of a more and better connected place than this.
As international trade boomed, so the sums changing hands in Cardiff's coal docks rocketed. And in the days before computers and mobile phones, of course, that all had to be done face to face. I'm here in the business district of Cardiff Docks, or Butte Town, as it had become known, to find out more about how these coal deals were done. Once the heart of this financial area, the Coal Exchange is now a hotel that's been faithfully renovated. Its creative director is Mike Johnson. Mike?
Yeah,
Hello,
Alice.
I'm Alice. Yeah,
Hiya, how are you
nice to
doing?
meet
How are
you.
doing? Yeah, and you.
And its centrepiece is this huge room where all the deals were done. What a splendid hall. This is the trading floor of the Coal Exchange.
This is the Industrial Stock Exchange, yeah. This is a sacred bit inside this black mark. And this used to be sunken down 2-3 steps, so it was a trading pit almost.
So when this goes up in the late 19th century, this huge building really is going up on the empty dockside.
Yeah. So what used to happen was the traders would meet down by the docks and they'd do a deal, and it's the old spit on the palm, got it, no paperwork, no contracts, word of mouth, gentlemen's agreements and all that.
Well, presumably there were huge sums of money changing hands.
Tens of thousands of pounds, hundreds of thousands of pounds based on thousands of tons of coal going off around the world. A group of ship owners then suddenly realised this was getting, no pun intended, out of hand. So they decided to build the exchange. After the turn of the century, it became so important as a building. It was the centre of world coal trade. The price of world coal was set here.
Really?
The first single £1 million recorded business deal was done where we're standing.
Anywhere in the world?
Anywhere in the world, the first,
Right.
yeah. And that was 2,500 tons of coal to the French Navy.
Yeah, that is fascinating. I mean, it's fascinating because it shows you how important coal was. And all this, the crowd of traders on the floor there. Throughout the Edwardian period, then, it's much more utilitarian looking on the inside.
That's right. What you see now was the profits from that trade burst throughout the Edwardian period. You see, they're the old trading boxes.
That's where the deals were actually taking place.
Yeah, presumably as well, the bigger deals, the private deals, you know, you don't want me to hear about that, so you're in there, yeah.
This one's listening in, look. He's standing there nonchalantly listening in to what's going on inside.
He probably nipped down there then and did a separate deal. Yeah, they're doing that, yeah.
This is what it's all about.
Yeah, and they just stretch away forever, don't they?
Yeah, the scale of it is amazing, isn't it? So all this coal coming down from the Rhondda Valleys.
Literally pouring down from the Rhondda Valleys, being sold here, off onto the ships, and literally out across the world.
Yeah. Alongside coal, traders and the exchange dealt in shipping, now a huge source of income in its own right. By 1910, 250 locally owned steam tramps were lugging their black cargo to over 50 destinations across the globe. Cardiff was now at the centre of the global energy business. These profits were underpinning what had become a vibrant local economy. Retail trade was booming, factories were rapidly expanding, and the docks were busy with imports of food and goods, as well as exporting coal. Edwardian men were making fortunes, and it was just men doing the deals. Next, I'm going to experience part of the rather indulgent lifestyle of wealthy Edwardian women. While exploring Edwardian Britain through the story of Cardiff, I've seen the struggles brought about by mining coal and the scale of the industry that exploited that labour. While working-class women typically toiled at the collieries, middle-class women, if they worked at all, were more likely to be teachers, dressmakers, or perhaps landladies. However, privileged and wealthy Edwardian women had no need to labour, apart from, of course, the effort they made on their appearances.
I've come to Dufferin on the outskirts of Cardiff to find out just how much time and effort went into getting that famously ornate Edwardian style just right.
Lynn Hoare is a professional costumier.
Lynn.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Are you ready to be transformed into an Edwardian lady?
Yes, I have.
Right, first things first, let's start with the underwear. If you wouldn't mind sort of taking everything off except your pants and putting this on, would that be all right?
That's fine.
Yeah.
So, would they have worn pants?
No, because, you know, you've got this easy access area at the back.
That wouldn't have really worked with pants, would it?
Not really, no.
No bra. I can keep my pants on. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm just stepping in.
Let's have a look at you then. Yeah. Oh, that looks great.
You shouldn't be in here, should you? Ladies'
boudoir. Right, I'm going to go for the corset now. So we choose a corset that's 1.5 inches, 2 inches smaller than your waist.
That sounds comfortable.
Yeah. And as you can imagine, high society would have dictated the fashion of the day so that women certainly would have been looking at royalty to see how they would like to look. We do know that Edward VII was a bit of a philanderer and he favoured very shapely women.
But they're not looking at Queen Alexandra. They're looking at royal mistresses.
Yes, and he did spend a lot of his time with women in that upper echelon of fashion and wealth.
So kind of Edwardian it girls.
Definitely, yes. I wonder how long you'll still be talking, Alice. How does it feel on you?
Tight.
Yeah. Right, next, the petticoat. Right, so now the blouse. It's like a straight jacket.
Of course, some Edwardian women were suffering for much worthier causes. After a long struggle, the women's suffrage movement ensured many women finally got the vote in 1918.
This is a V belt.
Right.
And by then, the corset was well and truly out of fashion.
There is something a bit new romantic about it.
We've got a lovely snakeskin bag here.
That's a big old hat.
It's a big old hat pin.
Ow!
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I haven't actually looked at myself since you put the wig and the hat on.
No, I know. You're going to get a surprise.
Oh my goodness!
What do you think?
That just doesn't look like me. That's very strange. I'm an Edwardian lady.
You certainly are.
I feel quite, especially looking at myself in the mirror, I feel quite superior, quite
Wow.
snooty.
So you should, after all that effort that I've put into making you look so beautiful. When we began, we were almost equal.
Not anymore.
No.
No, no.
One more thing. Here we go. A pretty little parasol.
Is this really necessary? I've already got a hat on.
Yes, yes. The more the merrier.
Thank you very
Will
much.
you be leaving me a tip?
No, because you stuck a pin in my head.
Oh, okay.
I've heard that Edwardian gardens here are rather wonderful. This opulent house was owned by John Corey, who'd made an absolute fortune in shipping and coal. He acquired a Victorian pile and then transformed it into a beautiful Edwardian villa. And when he retired, he turned his attention to the gardens, which are just the perfect place for an Edwardian lady of leisure to take a stroll.
Corey's ships would bring him exotic plants back from distant lands. Such was the life of luxury for a small but growing minority benefiting from Cardiff's black gold rush.
The money was pouring in, but compared to Britain's other great industrial cities, Cardiff lacked big, imposing buildings and a civic centre. It was time for Cardiff to undergo its own grand redesign. This is Cardiff's civic centre, which includes the university where I studied medicine in the early 90s. I must admit I hadn't realised that this civic centre only took shape in the early 20th century. Thankfully, Bill Jones has studied this impressive architectural achievement in great detail. Bill, hi! We really stand out in this crowd because we're not wearing graduation gowns.
It's a long time since I wore a graduation gown.
And they're all here to take photographs outside these magnificent buildings, of course.
Aren't they magnificent? It's
Lovely.
wonderful, wonderful. This is the finest civic centre in Britain and one of the finest in Europe.
It's neoclassical but with a flourish, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes, yes. They were into flourish. This is a generation here before the First World War that is supremely confident, that thought that the coal industry was going to be the basis of an empire for hundreds of years in Cardiff and would be the basis of its prosperity, and of linking in with that classical past as well, and it's a powerful combination.
And it's a vision of what the city's about, isn't it? You've got the town hall, you've got the law courts, but you've also got the seat of learning, you've got the university here.
Well, Cardiff was well known throughout the world as a coal exporting port. The idea here was that Cardiff would also be renowned throughout the world for its art and its architecture and its civic splendour.
Yeah. They're definitely imposing buildings, aren't they? Can you show me some of the details?
Yeah, of course.
The land for the Civic Centre was once the private estate of the man who built Cardiff's coal docks, the second Marquess of Bute. His son, the third Marquess of Bute, sold it to the city on condition that the park's tree-lined avenues were retained. Definitely Edwardian, then?
Yeah, that's a bit of a giveaway, out of the sense. There's the foundation stone of the building here. Foundation stones are wonderful things, they're very handy.
I've walked past this building so many times.
On the 23rd of October 1901, they laid the foundation stone here.
Yeah, these are great. They look like they're asleep. Look, they've got their heads tucked in under their wings. I'm seeing so much more than I think I saw when I was here. I didn't notice all these details.
There's something here that's worth seeing, which gives us a clue to the material base, the reason for the prosperity of this area, if you like. So you've got two groups of statues here. That's navigation with Neptune over there. And here's Minerva as the goddess of commerce and wisdom and various other things. But if we go around the back, tucked away, but there's a very interesting link here symbolising the reason for the prosperity.
We've got miners.
We've got miners, yes. Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
Yes. If you have coal and navigation and the sea and together, coal exports, the age of steam, the great Edwardian age of expansion of Welsh coal through Cardiff and other ports in South Wales to the rest of the world.
It's good. I mean, I'm not entirely sure that there are actually this many muscles in a human forearm, a human arm.
I can tell you're a doctor. Do you want to take it home with you?
I think he's quite good, actually. I like a bit of anatomy in a statue. This Edwardian dream turned reality helped Cardiff to become known as the Chicago of Wales. To see how appropriate that nickname really was, Ben is taking a look from the skies.
That's a great view of it here, and that great central processional avenue as well. Look at that. All laid out on a grid, a great statement of how important this town was becoming. You can see the power, the wealth, the ambition. It's all written down there in the architecture. It's bold, it's brash, it's more like American city planning than it is British town planning.
In 1905, in recognition of its success, King Edward himself granted Cardiff city status, the only city to receive the honour during his reign. But Cardiff wasn't satisfied. Next, I'll discover how a bit of celebrity glamour was used in an effort to improve its industrial image. I've already discovered how its immense coal docks, massive business deals and show-stopping civic centre had transformed Cardiff into an Edwardian city to be reckoned with. But industrial cities were in feverish competition with each other, and Cardiff had become pigeonholed as a coal city. To really polish its reputation, though, Cardiff needed a bit of celebrity glamour, and in Edwardian times, it was explorers who grabbed the biggest headlines. In 1904, Captain Robert Falcon Scott had returned from the Antarctic to great acclaim. He'd set a new southern latitude record and discovered the polar plateau, but he wanted more. He wanted to reach the pole itself. The Royal Hotel serves breakfast here nowadays. But in 1910, something a little more grand was on the menu. This is the very room where Scott and his team of scientists and fellow explorers were given their last meal before they all set off by the Cardiff financiers, the people whose support made this voyage possible. And there are some mementos of that evening here. And there is the Terra Nova, so there's a rather wonderful little model of her. And look, she's flying the Welsh flag proudly at the back there. And there's the menu of the meal they sat down to. Quite an extensive menu, various hors d'oeuvres, followed by bisque of lobster, boiled salmon, mousse of ham in aspic, sounds disgusting, fillets of beef, roast Aylesbury duckling, asparagus, soufflé, Captain Scott soufflé no less, and finishing up with the South Pole ice pudding, of course. And they're serenaded, so there's a programme of music here. They're listening to all sorts of things. Waltzes, Hungarian dances, played, I'm glad to say, by the Roberts Band. The next day, Scott's ship, the Terra Nova, would leave Cardiff docks bound for the Antarctic, heavily laden with Welsh coal and supplies, all paid for by the city's most wealthy and publicity-hungry men. Of course, Scott never made it back, but his ship, the Terra Nova, did. And here in the National Museum of Wales, they have got a flag which went all the way to Antarctica and came back. I spotted that tiny version on the model, and now Museum of Wales curator Ellen Phillips has retrieved the flag itself from deep storage.
Hello. Hello. I need your help to unfurl it. If you could just don a pair of gloves, Alice.
Thank you.
OK. It's normally kept in a cool, air-conditioned storeroom.
So it's not on display?
No, no, no. It hasn't been on display for years. Textiles are so fragile. We've got to be so careful with loss of colour, insect damage, overhandling, hence the gloves.
I feel even more privileged, actually, to be seeing it.
Great. So just pop it down. If you could just help me open it that way.
What is it? Is it linen?
It's actually a coarse woolen fabric.
Is it?
Yeah. In relatively good condition, considering where it's been at its age. So if we just take it all the way out.
I don't know what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be printed, but it's almost like a plique, isn't it?
It's a plique, yeah.
And it's huge.
So there you have it. Captain Scott's Terra Nova flag in all its glory.
That's wonderful.
It was made by the dressmakers in J. Howell & Co. department store in Cardiff.
It's still there?
It's still there on St Mary Street, once billed as the Harrods of Wales.
It's a very impressive advert, isn't it? It's a very obvious badge of Welshness that ship is going off with.
Yeah, so in a way, it's a marketing tool for Wales, for Cardiff in the Edwardian era. I mean, Cardiff threw itself with gusto behind Captain Scott's expedition. We'd kind of received city status in 1905, and I guess the civic leaders of Cardiff were on a sort of bit of a rebrand mission, you know. We wanted to be seen as the most enterprising city in the empire. And apparently Cardiff amassed about £2,500 towards the expedition in 1910, so more than any other city. So it felt very much like a Welsh project as well, I think.
He's a magnificent creature, Ellen, but I have noticed something, that he's actually going, I'm biting my tongue.
Oh, yeah, I've noticed that before, yeah.
Scott may have failed to return, but plenty of sailors were coming back to Cardiff and making it their home. Global shipping routes and plentiful employment drew thousands of economic migrants from all over the world. Many settled and set up home in Bute Town, a purpose-built suburb for the workers of Cardiff docks and their families. Here they created something quite unique.
The compact terraced houses right here in the Cardiff docks area became the richest multicultural melting pot in Edwardian Britain.
Only a few of the original streets remain from that era. Loudon Square was once the hub of the community, though redevelopment has rendered it almost unrecognisable.
I'm here to meet 3 men who grew up right here in what's now known as Bute Town.
Keith, Ali and Steve are all descended from people who either lived here in Edwardian times or were later drawn to the diverse community which has its roots in that era.
So what I find really interesting is that this multiculturalism that exists in Cardiff today, and especially still around here in Bute Town, goes right back. And in the Edwardian period, I think I'm right in saying that Cardiff was seen as being one of the most, if not the most diverse city in the country, measured by the number of languages that people were speaking.
Yeah, well, my parents came from Egypt, and both grandfathers were merchant seamen from Somalia.
Right.
So there was already a mixture there.
So your parents were Egyptian, Steve?
So my father came from Somaliland.
Yeah.
And my mother was born and bred in Nelson Street, just up
Yeah.
the road. But her grandfather was from British Honduras, and her mother was from Blackburn in England.
So the mixing goes back and back and back,
Yeah,
generations.
Amazing stories.
Yeah,
And
we
from
see
all
lots of shit
over.
there. So it must have changed a bit since you were kids here. What was it like back then?
It was amazing. I mean, there was all the traditional streets, you know, like if you go to London, like Notting Hill, and you see all those grand houses. That's where we lived in, those great big houses.
Every door was open, and it was who was cooking what.
Yeah.
So you kind of had a group of friends. Sometimes you'd walk into someone's house and there'd be salt fish and fried bananas. You'd have curries in other houses. You'd have traditional Norwegian food in my friend's house. So it was just a kaleidoscope of, I think, a melting pot. Is
Yeah,
how
yeah.
to describe it.
Yes, it's always been diverse. In a way, I think it's, as you put it, it's kind of remarkable, but it's not to us.
But you know, going back into the Edwardian period, you know, this was an area of the town that was seen from the outside as being very rough, as being, you know, hard drinking,
hard workers,
gambling, prostitution, all of that going on down here.
Hard working people.
Did it still have that reputation?
Well, it's
now
got,
into
it's
the
got,
60s, 70s,
yeah,
80s?
like every wharf all over the world, it was full of prostitution and vice and gambling and all kinds of stuff. This problem just became more notable because you could put a name on it because it was black men.
Yeah. So had you experienced racism?
First time was when we left the area. And then we realised how protected we were by the adults of everybody. Everybody was your mum and dad, your uncle in this area.
Yeah.
And you didn't appreciate that until you actually moved out to the area.
So diversity was natural here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nobody planned for it to be a multicultural, beautiful, unique, wonderful community. We did it because the circumstances.
So you're a poet as well,
I wouldn't call myself a poet, but sometimes I write things and sometimes they rhyme.
and you've written poetry about
I wrote one about...
your Welsh
your
origins.
Kind of, yeah. There's a reason why they came from there to hear and see and stand on this land where we stand. It wasn't planned, but ordained and decreed to feed the need of empire, expansion and containment, the fuel to power control, coal, black gold, filthy lucre, dirty, difficult, dangerous. So often this story's been told that we can reckon and recount to the ounce, bought and sold for £1 million check, for how many souls?
How many souls?
King Edward VII died in 1910, but for a while the boom continued. In 1913, over 13 million tonnes of coal passed through Cardiff's docks. It was the peak of an astonishing period of economic growth that had seen a backwater town transformed into a powerful international city. But Cardiff and Britain's preeminence was about to come crashing down. The catastrophic World War that began in 1914 not only crippled international trade, it accelerated the switch from coal to oil for fueling ships. The post-war slump made things even worse, and very soon the glory days of Edwardian Britain were a distant memory. But what an extraordinary legacy. It is phenomenal just how much Cardiff was transformed in that crucial first decade of the 20th century. All kick-started by the geology of the Rhondda and its millions of tons of steam coal. All of it pouring down to a vast coal dock with its miles of railways and quays. The creation of a vibrant multicultural community that grew out of Cardiff's preeminence as a port with international connections, and the creation of this beautiful, coherent civic centre, which is still very much the heart of the city. This slice of history is woven into the fabric of Cardiff. It's what makes Cardiff Britain's most Edwardian town.